Hi, my name is Brian, and in today's video I'm going to talk about how to build a stand for an aquarium. This stand will be constructed of 2x6s, 3/4 inch plywood, and 2x4s. I'll be using regular framing nails to tack the stand together, and then I'll be using stainless steel screws to hold it together. It's not necessary to have a saw on a stand like this, but it is very helpful. So if you have access to a saw like this, it will simplify and speed the cuts that you need to make. The first step is to cut your pieces, and so I've already cut some of my lumber, and so the next step will be to assemble it. Hi, so it's important to choose an area that's flat and that's convenient to work when you assemble your stand. I have chosen this area because it's out of the sun and it's a convenient flat place to work. I'll be using an air gun today, and if you have access to one of these, that's great. If you don't, it's not necessary. The first step is to lay your pieces out, make sure you understand how they fit together, and then tack them together with the nail gun. To place the support for the front of the tank, this stand is designed to overhang the tank by about 6 inches, and that just gives me a convenient place to set things. Okay, so I've assembled the frame, and this center brace will help support the middle of the aquarium, or actually it'll support the plywood, they'll support the aquarium. I'm using these stainless steel screws to reinforce the frame. This just ensures that it doesn't pull apart, and that if any salt water leaks, I don't wind up with any rusted nails. Now, this is probably not important structurally, but from a finish perspective, I don't like having nails partially sticking out, so I come back and finish them with a hammer. As you can see, it doesn't take very long. Okay, so I was going to put together the stand and then bring it in here, and I realized that it was a really tight squeeze through this area, and my back hurts a little bit, so I decided I'd go ahead and build it in place. The other thing is, this floor may not be completely level, and so what I'm going to do is demonstrate a technique to build a stand and level it at the same time. The core of my legs is a 2x4, and then the weight of the tank actually rests on a 2x6. The stand is designed to be high enough for a barrel to fit in underneath of it. Again, I'm working in my fish room. A lot of you are going to be working on the ground level, so you may not be able to do what I'm doing. But if your sump is in an area where it's lower than your tank, such as your basement or something else, you can use the exact same setup that I'm going to show you today. This is my old setup. This glass tank was roughly a 90-gallon Oceanic. It did what every glass tank has ever done to me. It sprung a damn leak. So rather than reseal it again, I'm just going to get rid of it. It's a pain in the ass to drill holes in glass, and the fittings are expensive. It's just, you know, as far as I'm concerned, glass tanks are a nightmare. Acrylic is easy to work with, and while it's expensive, it's not really that much more expensive than glass, and I can build exactly what I want. And unlike having a layer of silicone sticking two pieces of glass together, acrylic is welded. It isn't coming apart. So the basic concept will be the same. This is the main drain for my tank. It's going to come up, it's going to go over and go down. I'll cover that in more detail in a separate video. So let's get back to assembling the stand. Okay, so the first step is to just attach the legs. Try to get them reasonably even, but don't worry about the fine details at this stage. The idea is just to stand the tank up. Or I'm sorry, the stand. So these go inside. There is a reason for this. I'll explain it in more detail later in the video. And again, it's not necessary to be extraordinarily precise at this stage. You'll see in the next step why I do it this way. So the next step is to stand the tank up, or the stand up. Sorry, I keep referring to it by what it actually does. So now what I'll do is take a level and just see where we're at. Hey, we're pretty good from left to right. And pretty good from front to back. You want to use a good quality level at this stage, and you want the bubble to be in between the lines. This could get a little bit better, but it's very good. One of the things that happens pretty regularly is that the bit that Home Depot sells with their house brand of screws, Grip-Rite is a Home Depot brand as far as I know, the bit's a piece of crap and it wears out about a third of the way through the box. So what I recommend is that you buy the Milwaukee bits. The Milwaukee bits are sold under the brand of Shockwave Impact Duty. It's 5 pieces for about $3. These are a fantastic bit, and I have yet to destroy one. I typically lose them before I wear them out. This is a square drive bit. Home Depot does carry it. You'll probably have to get someone to help you find it because it's not Home Depot's brand. They don't have they don't make it easy to find. However, it is a fantastic bit and a great replacement for the junk that is in the box. These screws are expensive enough that I would tell you don't even waste your time using the bit that comes with them, because you will strip out, as you can see here, I've stripped out 2 of them, and that probably cost me 75 cents right there. Okay, so this is an excellent opportunity for me to talk about the leg construction. The idea here is that the 2x4 is just a place to attach the 2x6s, and the weight of the tank actually rests on the 2x6s. At the bottom, the 2x6s will be connected so that they form a square, and that prevents the legs from sliding out. And then it'll be reinforced at the top with panels, and I'll show that later. I add some polyurethane-based adhesive. I'm using PL375. Liquid nails, any of the polyurethanes will work just fine. And that fills in any irregularities and bonds the materials together and makes it stronger. One of the things you need to do at this stage is measure each leg individually, because they may be slightly different. If you have had to adjust your 2x4s, they will be slightly different. This is how you get a level aquarium stand that is strong and that's not going to sag on you. If you were to cut them all the same length and attach them at different points, it would cause problems. So let's talk for a second about where you put the polyurethane, because this is something that's not necessarily intuitive if you haven't done this before. I'm using a caulking gun just because it helps prevent me from having to squeeze constantly, which hurts my hands. So I'm going to put some on the top. Takes a second for it to catch up. Here we go. One of the things I like about the caulking gun is it dispenses an even bead of caulk. And again, it doesn't hurt my hands at all. I do IT work for a living, so I'm on the keyboard all the time, and I found that it's important for me to watch what I do with my hands. So I'm just going to put a very light bead on the back side, and then I'm going to pull that back. So what this does is this lines up underneath here with the outside edge. And this just bonds these two boards together, and the bead at the top takes up any gap that might be there, or any irregularity, ensures even weight distribution. Now, I realize there are people out there who are going to go, gosh, I could build this out of 1x2s and fiberboard. Yes, you could. And then you'd have a commercial aquarium stand. I believe in over-engineering it. That way if I make a minor mistake somewhere along the line, or I bump into my stand, it isn't going anywhere. The cost difference between 2x6s and 2x4s is about $1 per board, so it's a very, very inexpensive investment that will ensure that my stand can put up with whatever I throw at it. Okay, at this stage I've completed tying in all of my legs, and one of the things I recommend, especially on a stand that's this tall, is if you have ready access to the structural frame of the building, you should tie it in. And so what you'll notice back here is that I have tied in the aquarium stand with just a couple of nails to hold it against the frame of the building. And this keeps it from inadvertently tipping, and it reduces the amount of stress that the frame has to take. I would ordinarily box in the bottom of this, but because I'm going to put a barrel under here, I want to get my barrel in first. So as you can see, this is really sturdy. The next stage is to install the plywood bottom, or the top of this, which is a piece of plywood. And that's what the acrylic tank will actually sit on. However, I'll go ahead and put a bead of my construction adhesive, and then I'll use screws to secure this, and maybe a couple of nails if I think it's necessary. The purpose of the construction adhesive is to bond the plywood to the 2x6s, and that'll create what's called a diaphragm brace, and it will prevent any motion along this direction. So I won't be able to wiggle it like this in just a couple of minutes when I install that piece of plywood. Now, I've gone ahead and installed this, and my piece of plywood is 2 feet by 4 feet. And if you remember, I have a small overhang in the front of my stand that will allow me to just set stuff here while I'm messing with the sump. However, I've left this overhang. This is an unexpected bonus. I'm going to actually use this to place a couple of accessory pumps. So I hadn't remembered that this was an extra foot. No big deal. What I want to show is that I have glued in and screwed in my plywood top to my stand, which will be where my aquarium rests. And now this is extremely sturdy. In fact, you know, I can't do anything in terms of that. I weigh a couple 100 pounds. And as you can see, this thing is easily supporting me. So, what I'm trying to do is shake the thing, and as you can see, it just isn't happening. So, you know, I feel very confident that my sump will be solid up here, and that concludes my video on how to build an aquarium stand. It's kind of sad hopping up here and jumping around leaves me almost a little bit out of breath, but it is what it is, and I hope you've enjoyed my video, and I hope this will help you with your aquarium projects.